Fit and Fine at Your Places. I'm Priyanka Bish from Arden Progressive School. Today in this session, we'll be learning about some scientific management. As in the previous session, we have learned about the principles of management developed by Henry Fayol. So here in this session, we'll be learning about some scientific principles and about some scientific techniques which is developed by F.W. Taylor. So, according to Taylor, he has given 4 scientific principles. First is science not rule of thumb. Second is harmony not discord. Third is cooperation not individualism. And fourth is development of workers to their greatest efficiency and prosperity. So, these principles will be covering in this session. Along with this, we will be covering some scientific techniques which is also developed by Taylor. Now, 5 techniques have been given by Taylor. First is functional foremanship, then standardization and simplification of work. Third technique is work study, which includes fatigue study, method study, time study and motion study. Fourth is differential piece weight system, and last technique is mental revolution. And at last, we will also be covering the topic advantages of scientific management. So before starting the topic about the scientific management developed by F.W. Taylor, let's have a look upon the background and history of F.W. Taylor. Now, Taylor was born in USA in 1856 and he joined Midwell Steel Company as a mechanical engineer in 1878. So by using his engineering background, Taylor set out his scientific studies and techniques. He was primarily concerned about the efficiency of workers and optimum utilization of resources. Next, Taylor's principles and techniques were based on the observations he conducted in factories where methods of production lacked planning and working methods were haphazard. Now next we will learn about the contributions of Taylor. F.W. Taylor became famous as the father of scientific management. His main contribution which made him so popular were: first, Taylor published books and research papers explaining his scientific views on industrial organization and management. Second, his major contribution was publishing of shop management, piece rate system and principles of scientific management. Next, he emphasized on adoption of scientific methods to the problems of management. These were some major contributions of F.W. Taylor. So before studying about the scientific principles of management developed by F.W. Taylor, let's first understand about the meaning of scientific management. So scientific management can be defined as application of science for each and every element of management. In general language, we can say scientific management means conducting business activities according to the standardized tools, methods and trained personnel in order to increase the output, improve its quality and reduce cost and waste. So if we talk about scientific principles of management, Taylor has formulated 4 principles of scientific management which are explained below. First is science not rule of thumb. Now according to this principle, Taylor insists that each job performed in the organization should be based on scientific inquiry and not on intuition, experience and hit and miss method. So here Taylor says that there must be thinking before doing, which is not in case of rule of thumb. Here rule of thumb means dictatorship of managers, whereas scientific decisions are based on cause and effect and scientific measurement of methods and ways of production. So in this principle, Taylor believed that there is only one best method to maximize the efficiency, and this method can be developed through work study and analysis. So this method which is developed, it should substitute rule of thumb. For example, in rule of thumb, the standard time required to do a particular job is decided by the managers on the basis of his past experience. But Taylor insists that standard time for a job should be set up scientifically by performing time study in the organization, and then the day's target should be fixed. Now, second principle is harmony not discord. So according to this principle, those who work together in an organization, they must work in harmony, that is with mutual give and take and proper understanding. As we know, there are two groups which are working in an organization. First is the worker group, second is the management group. And both the groups work as rivals of each other. As the workers always feels that they are underpaid and are overburdened with the work, and the management always feels that the workers are good for nothing. So in this principle, Taylor insists that there is a need for both the groups to change their attitude for each other. He insists on mental revolution. Now, what is mental revolution? It means complete change of attitude and outlook for each other. So they must develop positive thinking for each other, and they must work in harmony, and they should avoid the discord as their objectives are in one direction only. So here Taylor feels that the prosperity of the organization all depends upon the prosperity of employer as well as employees. For example, the main objective of worker is to earn more, and the objective of management is to maximize production. So instead of discord for each other's objectives, worker can earn more by producing more, which will help in maximizing the production also. So this was all about harmony, not discord. Next is cooperation, not individualism. So according to this principle, work must be carried on in cooperation with each other, with mutual confidence and understanding for each other. So workers and managers must work in cooperation. Management must take care of the workers in confidence before setting up the standard task for them, because when the standard task or targets are set up in consultation of workers, then they will try their best to achieve it. So it is clear, whenever the management is setting objective for the organization, workers' suggestion should also be taken care of. So here, to have cooperation, management should welcome good suggestion of employees, and they should be rewarded for their suggestion. At the same time, workers should not go on strike and make unreasonable demand. There must be always an open communication system. For example, while assigning job to workers, if management asks them about their interest and then work is assigned according to their interest, then definitely the workers will perform it more efficiently. So cooperation is very necessary in management. Now the last principle we have is development of workers to their greatest efficiency and prosperity. So according to this principle, industrial efficiency depends upon the efficiency of workers, and workers' efficiency depends upon proper training and their selection. So according to Taylor, due care should be taken while selecting the employees, and after selecting they must be given job according to their qualification. So employees also must be sent for training from time to time to update their knowledge. This will ensure the greatest efficiency and prosperity for both the company and the workers. So after discussing about the Taylor's scientific principle, here are some scientific techniques which is developed by Taylor, and Taylor have developed these scientific techniques by conducting various experiments at his workplace. So the common techniques are, first is functional foremanship. Now in this technique, Taylor suggested that the factory should be divided into two departments. First is planning department and second is production department. As Taylor felt that the workers must be free from the burden of planning and they must concentrate on work and production. So to develop specialization in the productivity, Taylor suggested that under each department there must be some functional experts to supervise, guide and instruct the workers. As we know, one foreman cannot be expert in every aspect of work. So Taylor stressed on minimum 8 specialists or functional experts to supervise and give orders to the workers. So it is clear, in functional foremanship the factory is divided into two parts or two departments, planning department and production department, and under each department there are some functional experts to supervise and guide the workers. Minimum there are 8 functional experts. Now let's have a look upon the chart of functional foremanship. So here factory manager has divided the factory into two departments. First is planning, second is production. So in planning in charge, there are 4 functional experts: route clerk, instruction card clerk, time and cost clerk, and disciplinarian. And in production in charge, there are 4 functional experts: gang boss, speed boss, repair boss, and inspector. So all these 8 functional experts, they are supervising and guiding the work of workers. So as we know, Taylor has suggested 8 functional experts. So we'll learn about the role of each functional expert. Under planning department, there are 4 functional experts. First is route clerk. So the role of route clerk is, this foreman is responsible to fix up the sequence of steps for performing mechanical or manual job. Second, instruction card clerk. This foreman is responsible for giving general instruction necessary to carry on the job in a specified manner. Third is time and cost clerk. This foreman is responsible to fix up the time for starting and completion of job. So he also prepares the cost sheet for every job. And fourth is disciplinarian. This foreman is responsible for performance of job in orderly and systematic way. So this is the role of 4 functional experts who are under planning department. Now under operational department, first functional expert is gang boss. So gang boss, he arranges all the machines, tools and other resources required for performance of the job so that there is no delay. Second is speed boss. So this foreman assures timely completion of job. Third is repair boss. This boss ensures that the machines and the tools are kept in working condition. And the last is inspector. So inspector is responsible for checking the quality control of the output. So by this, Taylor has emphasized that when every foreman instructs and orders, the worker's efficiency will improve. Now next technique we have standardization and simplification of work. According to Taylor, standardization refers to the process of setting standards for every business activity. So here standardization does not only mean quality standard, but it refers to setting up standards for size, type, weights, measures and quality of problem. According to Taylor, scientific methods of production must be selected to develop standard, and to set up the standard, the manager must make use of work study techniques, which includes time study, motion study and fatigue study. For example, the companies like Nokia, Apple, Nike, Videocon, etc., they all are using the techniques of standardization. Now here are some objectives of standardization. First is to reduce a given line of product to fixed type, size and characteristics. Second is to allow interchangeability of manufactured parts and output among different departments and branches. Third is to maintain quality standard. And fourth is to set up performance standard of men and machine. These are some objectives of standardization. Now simplification means, simplification aims at eliminating unnecessary diversity of products. So we can say simplification includes more variety of inventory, more type of machines, more labors, cost, etc. By simplifying the task, there can be economy in the use of machine, labor, inventory maintenance, etc. So here simplification results in saving of cost of labor, machines and tools. Example can be a paper manufacturing company in USA reduced its varieties from 2000 to 200, which brought positive results for the company. Third technique is work study. So work study ensures maximum production at minimum cost and getting best contribution from every factor. So work study basically includes fatigue study, method study, time study and motion study. So let's have a look on the very first study which comes under work study, which is fatigue study. So fatigue study, this technique of scientific management is conducted to find out the frequency of rest intervals, second, the duration of rest intervals, and third, the number of rest intervals. So as we know, in an organization, a person is bound to get tired when he is performing a job for a long period of time. There is always a need for the rest interval. So Taylor suggested that the time period and the frequency of rest interval should not be decided by the wish and experience of manager, but to give a scientific approach, fatigue study must be conducted. So any time which should be decided for the employees, it should not be decided by the experience of manager or the wish of manager. It should be applied by conducting fatigue study. So to conduct fatigue study, Taylor suggested to observe an average worker when he is performing a job and then note down the time when that worker starts getting tired, and when his efficiency level starts decreasing, then give him break. This time can be noted to decide the frequency of rest interval, and during the break, after how much time the worker becomes fresh to rejoin the work can be the time for rest interval. And so if the frequency and time for rest interval is fixed by observing workers, definitely will be more scientific. So this is how the fatigue study is conducted. Next we have method study. So this method study technique of scientific management is conducted to find out the one best method or way of performing the job which keeps production cost minimum and makes maximum use of resources of the organization. So Taylor here suggested that the method of production should not be decided by the rule of thumb method, but all the methods must be tried in the organization, and the one which brings maximum benefit with a minimum cost, that method should be selected. So to determine the best way, there are certain parameters right from the procurement of raw materials till the final product is delivered. So Taylor developed the concept of assembly line by using method study. Now next we have time study. So here the technique of time study is conducted to determine, or the objective of time studies are: first, standard time required to perform a job; second, setting up standard target for workers; third, determining the number of workers required to perform a job; and fourth, categorizing the workers in efficient and inefficient categories. So here Taylor suggested that the time required to perform the job should not be decided by the intuition, will and wish of manager, but time study must be conducted to determine the standard time scientifically. So to conduct time study, Taylor suggested to observe an average worker when he is performing the job with a stopwatch in hand and note down the average time taken by the worker in completing a job. So here Taylor suggested to repeat the same observations for 100 times and then take out the average time. This time should be considered the average time for the performance of the job. So keeping this time in mind, the targets for the worker should be fixed, and the workers who are able to achieve their targets in standard time are the average workers. Now, if the worker is able to achieve target before standard time, then he is efficient worker. And if the worker failed to achieve the target in standard time, then he is an inefficient worker. So this is how time study is conducted. Now next, last study we have motion study. So here the scientific technique of motion study is conducted to determine, or the objective of motion study are: first, to determine the movements of workers when they are performing the job; second, to differentiate between productive and unproductive movements; third, for cutting down unproductive and wasteful movements; and fourth, to design suitable equipment and tools to minimize the unproductive movement of workers. So according to Taylor, to conduct motion study, he suggested to observe an average worker when he is performing the job and note down all the movement he is doing. How many times he is getting up from his place, How many times is he being bending down, etc. Repeat it for 100 times with different workers. Now after writing all the movements, classify them in productive and unproductive movements and then make the strategy to cut down or minimize the unproductive movements. So this is how motion study is conducted. Next technique is mental revolution. So the objectives of mental revolution are: first, change in mental attitudes of workers and management towards each other. Second is cooperation between workers and management. Third is ruling out feeling of suspicion or prejudice from the minds of workers and management to adapt systematic thinking. So according to Taylor, in every organization, workers feels that the management exploits them, overburdens them with excess work and pays them less. On the other hand, management feels that the workers always grumble, they follow go slow policy, damage the equipments and work carelessly. So here both the groups suspect each other. So in this technique of mental revolution, Taylor stressed that there is a need to change the attitude of both the groups drastically. He referred to change as a revolution of mind to develop positive thinking and feeling of cooperation for each other. Now here is the last technique, which is differential piece weight system. So the scientific technique of differential piece rate system emphasizes on paying different rate of wages for efficient and inefficient employees. So differential wage system insists on paying different rate of wage to efficient and inefficient employees. Extra wages paid to efficient employees will motivate them to remain efficient. Extra wages paid to efficient employees will motivate inefficient employees to come in the category of efficient employees. And when the payment is given according to the number of units produced, automatically the production will be maximized. So this technique is the strongest motivator for the employees to perform efficiently. Now to conduct or adopt differential wage system, Taylor suggested that the company must fix a standard rate of wage for workers producing standard output or their target. So the workers who produce more than the standard target, they must be paid with a higher rate of wage, and those workers who are producing less than the standard output, they must be paid with a rate less than standard rate. Let's understand this technique with an example. For example, if the standard target is 10 units per day and standard rate is rupees 50 per unit. So the worker who is producing 10 units must be paid rupees 500. How it is 500? Standard rate is rupees 50 and standard output is 10. So 50 into 10 is 500. Now the worker who is producing 12 units, they must be paid with a rate higher than the standard rate. Now standard rate is fixed here rupees 500, and if the worker is producing more than the standard units, standard target was 10 units and here the worker is producing 12 units. So here he must be paid with a rate higher than standard rate, say rupees 60 per unit. Standard rate was 50. Now this worker who is producing more than 10 unit, he will be paid the wages according to the rate of 60 per unit. So he will receive 12 into 60, that is 750 rupees. So this will be the wages paid to the worker who is producing above the standard target. Now the worker who is producing less than the standard output, they must be taxed and penalized by paying less than standard rate, say rupees 40. As we know, the standard rate was rupees 50 per unit. Now here, as the worker is not performing according to the targets of the company, so he will be paid at the rate rupees 50 per unit. Now he will receive rupees 8 into 40, that is rupees 320. So he will be getting the lower rate. So this difference in wages will motivate the workers to become efficient and earn more. Now at last we'll be discussing some advantage of scientific management. First advantage is Scientific management improves efficiency of business through simplification and specialization. It helps in reducing the cost of production by eliminating all types of wastage. Due to decrease in price, firm is enabled to capture a big share in the market. Mutual understanding and cooperation brings worker and management closer. More trainings to improve the skills of worker. And at last, it enables the workers to earn more with the introduction of differential piece weight system. So these are some advantage of scientific management. So in this session, we have learned about the Taylor's scientific principles and also the scientific techniques developed by Taylor. We have also studied about the advantage of some scientific management. So with this, we have completed the second chapter of business studies, which was principles of management. In the next session, we'll be starting the third chapter. That's all for today. Thank you.